I look clean to you? Surprise. I'm not fully clean unless I'm zestfully clean. Soap leaves a sticky film on you that won't rinse away, but Zest rinses you fully clean.
Zestfully, zestfully, zestfully clean. You're not fully clean unless you're zestfully clean.
On Newhart,
Michael and I are getting married.
join the entire Newhart gang and special guest Jose Ferrer for the wedding of the year.
I feel good about those two kids.
But are they ready for married life?
Have you thought about your financial situation, where you're going to live?
We've got a wedding to plan. We can't think about the marriage.
Well, that's every couple's dream.
Then it's Designing Women,
I think it's exciting, even if it's not the love boat.
followed by Cagney and Lacey,
This is a bust, Bob.
right after Newhart.
When's the big event?
Tonight, starting at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
A twin-engine commuter plane slammed into a wooded hillside near Madison, Wisconsin today, killing as many as 8 people. It is also the second plane crash in as many days.
WCCO Television presents Don Shelby, Pat Miles, and Bud Craylor. This is the 5 p.m. report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today's Wisconsin plane crash happened just before 8:30 this morning, just south of Madison.
The King Air 200 turboprop plane was on its way from Chicago to Baraboo, Wisconsin, when it crashed near Fort Atkinson, 23 miles to the southeast of Wisconsin's capital city. 8 people were aboard the plane, though 7 bodies have been recovered so far. It's feared the 8th person died in the crash as well. Debris was scattered across a hillside, and residents of a nearby farm described being awakened by a deafening boom as the plane slammed into the ground. There was a light rain falling at the time of the crash. The FAA is investigating. Authorities in Denver, Colorado insist that Stapleton Airport can be operated safely during snowstorms, despite yesterday's crash of a Continental Airlines flight less than 10 seconds after takeoff in heavy snow conditions. Some 26 people on board the Boise-bound plane were killed, and the fact that 56 others survived was attributed by one doctor to, quote, divine providence, tremendous luck, and the low altitude of the plane. Federal investigators today began trying to find clues to the cause of that crash.
Meanwhile, in Michigan, federal investigators today opened their first public hearings in the last August Northwest plane crash near Detroit. That crash killed 156 people. The National Transportation and Safety Board is looking for a cause. And as Alan Cox joins us live to explain, there is already some conflicting testimony over just how reliable the early evidence in this case might be. Alan?
Pat, even though investigators have researched the accident for 3 months and generated reams of reports, these hearings are just the end of the beginning of the investigation into the crash of Flight 255. And for all the technical talk, it still comes down to the horror of an accident that cost 156 lives.
I saw a blue flame from the left side of the aircraft, which I assumed it to be from the left engine. Shortly after the blue flame, there was an orange flame. The aircraft continued to roll to the left and was engulfed, and the remainder of the aircraft was engulfed in flames.
More than 100 people saw all or part of that 14-second flight into a light pole and disaster. One witness contradicts reports that the jet had its wing flaps and slats set incorrectly for takeoff. He was waiting to take off behind Flight 255.
Would you describe what you observed of the flap and slat positions?
Slats and flaps were extended.
At what point did you notice the flap and slat position? Where was the airplane?
The airplane was, I noticed it approximately from this location through this location here, and certain portions at the impact of the light pole.
But researchers for the Safety Board and for aircraft maker McDonnell Douglas told the inquest board this afternoon that their analysis of the jet's brief struggle to get into the air shows that the wing flaps and slats could not have been set properly for takeoff. There's still a bit of dispute about that. There are indications from some of the questioning today by the representatives for Northwest Airlines and from some media reports over the weekend. The Northwest is going to challenge the assertion that the flaps were definitely in the improper position. We'll have more about that tonight at 6.
Alan, you know, there was also some conflicting testimony about the fact that the one witness saw flames coming out of the engine, and they had said there was no problem with the engine. Has that been brought out at all?
So far, all the technical reports indicate that there was no problem with the engine. The concern is whether there was a problem with the circuit breaker having to do with the alarm system indicating no flaps, whether in fact the flaps were deployed properly.
All right, thank you, Alan. Don?
A U.S.-owned supertanker was among 3 vessels hit by Iranians today. The attacks were launched from speedboats in the southern part of the Persian Gulf and the Straits of Hormuz. The tanker is owned by Exxon and was carrying a load of Saudi Arabian crude. Damage was said to be minor. Nobody hurt. Survivors of the world's worst industrial accident may be getting compensated soon. More than 25,000 families claimed loss of earning power after the toxic leak at Bhopal, India, which killed 2,300 people. Wire Service reports say Union Carbide has agreed to pay $500 million to the survivors over a 10-year period. But Minneapolis attorney Mike Saracey, who is representing the Indian government in the case, told us that the Wire Service reports are inaccurate. He declined further comment.
2 weeks from tomorrow, Dwayne Bisick will be sentenced on his second-degree manslaughter conviction. Yesterday, a Carver County jury found the 35-year-old Chanhassen man guilty in the 1986 deaths of his wife Mary and infant daughter Christina. Bisick was accused of rigging the car in which they were sitting with explosives. But the jury's decision yesterday was partially swayed by a piece of new evidence they reportedly found during their deliberations.
Mike Strand's here to explain that piece of evidence was a dime-sized piece of shrapnel found in Bisick's vest. It's causing some real stirring around some legal circles.
As you might imagine, Don, very surprising development. The shrapnel was found during deliberations last Friday, and it became one of the several missing links that led to a hung jury over the question of first-degree murder. The shrapnel lends credibility to Bisick's story that he was within lethal range of the explosion. It also hurt the prosecution's argument that Bisick was inside his pickup truck when the blast occurred. Prosecutor Tom Heffelfinger says he's frustrated by the incident, but has no plans to pursue it officially.
I would ask that lab analysis take place, nor do I intend to mount a full-scale investigation around that piece of metal. I'd like to look at the metal in the vest for my own curiosity, but that's where I intend to let it lie.
Defense lawyer Ron Meshpesher, meantime, says he doesn't feel the shrapnel changed any minds on the jury, but it hurt the government's case.
Well, it's unfortunate. The prosecutor had in his possession that jacket within, I think, 12 or 18 hours of the incident. They claim they subjected it to close laboratory analysis and scrutiny. I had never actually seen that jacket because I didn't think it was that important until it was offered in evidence. And it stayed in evidence in the custody of the court clerk from that point on. It was something the government overlooked. I think from now on they ought to at least subject it to an X-ray analysis before they come in and venture opinions that now turn out to be speculative.
Meantime, jurors say the shrapnel was an exciting discovery, but was only one piece of the evidence upon which they decided this case. Forewoman Kathy Anderson declined an on-camera interview, but told us the oversight was consistent with the government's style of investigation, and that the state's case was lost to the incompetence of the federal government's Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Agency. She says she doesn't think they framed Bisick, but when you don't know the truth, she says, you can't find someone guilty of murder. Meantime, Bisick received some good news today. The insurance company from which he bought that $270,000 life insurance policy on his wife has dropped its lawsuit to recover the money. Don and Pat?
Thank you very much, Mike.
Now stay with us as the Monday 5 continues. We're going to tell you about a drug to help depression among the elderly. And we will also examine the reasons why more and more women are now choosing to have children a little bit later in life. Both stories coming up.
Some of us find it hard to get a good night's sleep because of aches, pains, stress. We need relief. Ideally, something natural. For troubled sleepers around the world, the answer is Wool Rest. A layer of pure wool fleece, shaggy fibers so resilient they cushion and comfort sensitive joints and muscles. Wool Rest helps you sleep longer, deeper, to wake more refreshed. Why spend another sleepless night? There's a natural solution. Exclusively at Dayton's.
This is going to feel real good. The Home Spa Personal Whirlpool. A powerful head-to-toe water massage that eases tension, soothes sore muscles, and makes you feel real good. Turn your bathtub into a hot tub at a fraction of a hot tub's price. The Home Spa Whirlpool. Everything about it feels real good.
This Christmas, you'll experience the hoopla and the hassles chasing after those so-called good buys, but you can still be left in the dark. Where can you find value without the hassle? Our own hardware. We've got loads of great gifts. Like this Mecco folding table and chairs with attractive Wedgwood fabric, only $99.99. Or this Bemis wood grain console humidifier with on-off humidity control, just $69.99. So come in from the dark and see what you've been missing at participating our own and how-to stores.
Salt Sense tastes great because it's real salt.
Introducing new Salt Sense. Great tasting salt with 33% less sodium per teaspoon.
Salt Sense makes sense.
In today's edition of Healthline, we take a look at several different topics, including the latest on a local program of testing for breast cancer and also a drug to fight off depression.
For that and more, here's our health and science reporter, Tony Vigneri. Tony.
Don and Pat, a new drug to treat depression in the elderly is under study at St. Paul Ramsey Hospital. Now, unlike other anti-depression drugs, this drug works quickly and has minimal side effects. Estimates are that 10% of those 65 and older suffer depression. Not the kind that comes and goes, but depression that continues every day for more than 2 weeks. It hit the 71-year-old Eden Prairie man out of the blue. He did not want to be identified.
Very depressed and felt like my situation was hopeless and a weakness. Just a general disinterest in living, you might say.
Doctors say this type of depression in older adults is very hard to diagnose.
A lot of times they will come in with complaints that are physical in nature, abdominal pain, headache, or they might complain of memory or concentration problems, and those kind of symptoms get ascribed to some other physical problem and not recognized actually as depression.
Dr. Tellefson says medicine has no answers as to why happy and upbeat older adults suffer this kind of depression. The new anti-depression drug is not addictive, and the hospital study is placebo-controlled, which means for more accurate test results, half the patients get the drug, the other half the placebo. This man is in the study, but he's not sure if he's taking the drug or the placebo. But so far, he says, he does feel better.
I am much more upbeat about things, and I don't worry about the worst things going to happen or anything like that. And I think I approach things in a much better, with a much better attitude.
St. Paul Ramsey is still looking for older adults to be included in the study. Now, if you're interested, you can call the hospital at 221-2749. That's 221-2749. And finally, today marks the start of a month-long breast cancer awareness campaign. The American Cancer Society, along with numerous hospitals in the state, are offering reduced-cost mammogram. It's best to check with the hospital in your area to see if they are participating in this project. Now, we did check, and there's something like 120 facilities throughout the state that are participating. Very good program.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Former Speaker of the House Tip O'Neill has rectal cancer. Officials at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston today confirmed that O'Neill will undergo surgery on Wednesday. Doctors, though, are optimistic they'll be able to remove all of the cancerous tissue. O'Neill retired from Congress in January after 35 years on the job.
We seem to be hearing more and more lately about women choosing to have babies later in life. Among some of the better-known examples, there's Sybil Shepherd, who had a child at 37, Jessica Lange, Glenn Close, who just turned 40, is also pregnant. But then we don't have to look to the movie stars only to see this trend. What about women you might know? Well, tonight on the 10 p.m. report, Pat Miles will be exploring that subject, a subject dear to your heart. Now, tell me more about the trend. How
Well,
many
I
people do you
think
see
part
doing
of it, Don, obviously, is that a lot of women who have careers, who have waited to get married, they're in a situation where they are having their children later in life. And this is a trend that we're not just seeing in Minnesota, but seen all across the nation. It only makes sense. I mean, I was one of those women. I didn't have my first child until I was almost 35. By the way, a woman 35 and older is known as get this, elderly prima gravida. Now, how would you like to be called an elderly prima gravida?
At 35?
At
I don't think I would
35.
want to be called that.
But those are first-time mothers.
Who are we
over
looking
the
at
age of
here,
35.
Pat?
This is actually, it's a friend of mine, Laura Eldridge, who, by the way, is turning 40 this week. Happy birthday, Laura.
Can't say that.
And she just had her first child. She was at the age of 39 and just absolutely thrilled to death, she and her husband both, and they're going to be a part of the story that we're doing tonight on the 10 p.m. report.
I have a question. One of the things that has prevented, or did prevent for years and years, people choosing to have babies later in life was the scary medical news that maybe you were risking having a birth defect child, or you might be injuring yourself as a mother.
The truth is that really is a whole nother story. There have been so many advances, technological advances. I mean, now a woman can go in and have amniocentesis, which can tell you if you're carrying Down syndrome child. Basically, they can take a look with ultrasound and tell you how far apart the baby's eyes are, if the heart's functioning. A lot of people are using amniocentesis, which can also tell you the sex of a child, to decide whether or not they want to go ahead with the pregnancy, because maybe they want a boy instead of a girl and they're carrying a girl. So this is a whole new controversial area that's come up, and it's really fascinating as well.
Terrific. Pat Miles will be reporting that story tonight on a 10 p.m. report. Now, stay with us as the Money Fight continues. We're going to be telling you about some nasty weather that's hit Texas and other parts of the South, and we're also going to check our own local forecast for the week with Bud Cralin.
Wellington. Remember the name because Wellington manufactures windows. Custom-made, factory-direct, guaranteed windows from just $68. And we can install a house full in one day. All styles, bays and bows, wood or vinyl, or choose from our complete Anderson line. We install or show you how free as part of the Wellington Unlimited Service Policy. For the Wellington Window Planning Center near you or free in-home estimate, call 884-9661. 884-9661.
Wellington, call now. 10 little Indians make a big mess. Rental cleaners, that's one way, I guess, but Regina's found an easier way to clean carpets with a hot water spray. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner. High traffic areas, keep them clean. It's easy when you own a machine. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner cleans whole rooms so deep, so fast, makes rental cleaners a thing of the past. For less than you ever thought you'd pay, clean your carpets the easy way. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner.
That's right, Automax, where you get high-quality, low-cost, personalized brake service. Automax machines rotors or drums. We also install lifetime guaranteed brake shoes or brake pads. Automax will inspect the entire brake system and road test your vehicle.
When you want it fixed right for a low, low price, we'll fix it good and we'll fix it fast. Just make tracks to Automax.
This week, Automax is offering their basic brake special for only $19.95 per wheel.
Plowwood, Minnesota installs a truckload of carpet every day.
You betcha, Ken. Plowwood, Minnesota installs over 6,000 square yards a day.
It's value. Yep, like free carpet pad during our annual fall sale with quality Queen carpets.
Queen carpets made with Ansel 5 worry-free nylon, plush, and stain resistant.
And the carpet pad is free. Plowwood, Minnesota has Congolium vinyl floors on sale, too.
Like highlights with a no-wax, high-gloss finish.
Plowwood, Minnesota's annual fall sale. With free carpet pad.
See our newest store in Burnsville.
2 more tornadoes and heavy rains battered parts of Texas and Louisiana today. That after 16 twisters killed at least 11 people and injured more than 200 yesterday. Wind and rain inflicted heavy damage to some of the homes and businesses over a 200-mile path all the way from east central Texas, north and eastward to Louisiana. National Guard troops, Red Cross workers, all of them on the scene to help those tornado victims.
Is that late, Bud? That seems a little late in the season for that kind of activity down there.
It is. You think of it in the springtime, not this time of the year. When they finally tabulate all the weather that occurred today over the country, I think they'll need an extra page or two in the old weather book. We had some maximum temperature records in Michigan today, and of course we had a drizzle and light rain, and there was some snow in northwestern Minnesota. In fact, 3 to up to 5 inches locally in that part of the state around Crookston, Thief River Falls, and Roselle. And it's possible we could have some that heavy wet snow in eastern Minnesota. It could start late tonight and into tomorrow. It's a little bit iffy, but we'll have to see how that eastern weather system operates over the next 12 hours or so. It's a Loring Park scene, incidentally, with the mallards. Cloudy, temperature at 49 degrees in our metro area, humidity at 93%, winds from the south at 16, the dew point at 47, and pressure rising from 29.72. It's cloudy, temperature 49. A band of showers about 35 miles wide from Hinckley down through the eastern metro to Owatonna is moving to the northeast at 25 miles an hour. Out to the west of us, there was some snow today in northern Idaho into western and central Montana. This is a band of rain, Kansas, and down through Tulsa, Oklahoma. Raining at Chicago, down through Galesburg, Illinois, down to Jackson, Mississippi, and to Natchez. Apparently some very heavy thunderstorms now in the southern part of Mississippi. This is caused by a cold front that's moving out of the eastern states and providing more rain for tomorrow from the Texas Panhandle up to the western part of Maine. Part of this area, the western Carolinas, getting at least an inch of rain, and translates to about a quarter inch of precipitation into snow in eastern Minnesota for tomorrow. More snow forecast from Washington and the higher elevations of California. And we talked about some warm temperatures just ahead of this cold front. Muskegon, Michigan was 62 for the afternoon. That's a maximum temperature record for the day. They matched that at Memphis with an inch and a half of rain. The warmer temperatures here, the southeast, Tampa at 86. Houston had 80-mile-an-hour winds and over an inch of rain today. And some rather cool temperatures to the west of us. It was 14 below at Laramie this morning. Their afternoon temperature at 18. And Santa Fe, partly cloudy, and 38. Our forecast for the metro area tonight, cloudy, occasional light showers, 38 for the low temperature overnight with northwesterly winds. A forecast for tomorrow, there's a chance of some heavy wet snow starting late tonight in the metro area and turning to more flurries by tomorrow afternoon with a high temperature 40 and then cooling off through the day. And the forecast for Thursday, clear to our Wednesday, a day ahead of myself, clear to partly cloudy, and the Wednesday afternoon temperature in the low 30s, but clear and rather cold and dry for Thursday and Friday. So we could get some snow late tonight.
About time, huh?
Thanks, bud.
Thanks. Now stay with us as the Monday 5 continues. Now you.
Okay. There are 2 security guards who were honored by the city of St. Paul for saving a man's life. Their story is next.
Citrus Hill Select's big new 96-ounce jug. It sure got a whole lot to love.
Citrus Hill Select gets its freshness from the heart and puts it in a jug, but that's only where we start. It's resealable and shakeable and doesn't make a mess. Your family's gonna love it 'cause it helps the juice stay fresh. Shake, twist, peel for our big 96-ounce jug. Fresh, so much more than more.
More savings, more selection at your More Floor store, Jerry's Floor Store. Lunch with a friend won't hurt the beauty of Philadelphia's northern and southern lights. DuPont Stainmaster Protected for easy cleaning. A plush salad at a great price. Vernon Park from Philadelphia, in stock in a wide range of colors. Reunion plank flooring from Bruce will add traditional beauty to any room. Choose from several colors, patterns, and styles. Buy now and get installation before the holidays at your More Floor store, Jerry's Floor Store, Spring Lake Park, Burnsville, Minnetonka, and Oakdale.
St. Paul Mayor George Latimer honored 2 local men as heroes this afternoon.
The reason their successful efforts in saving the life of an elderly man who suffered a near-fatal heart attack in a department store last September. Caroline Lowe has the details. She is live from our St. Paul newsroom. Caroline?
Well, Pat and Don, the men are 23-year-old Paul Strong and 24-year-old Paul Paulus Jr. Both are police officers who were working off duty at Sears when they used CPR to save the life of 68-year-old Earl Kreisel.
I'm really proud of you guys. Nice going.
A grateful Earl Kreisel watched as the mayor presented the fire department's Meritorious Service Awards to the 2 heroes this afternoon. Kreisel has a long history of heart troubles. He would not be alive today if Paul Paulus and Paul Strong hadn't worked so quickly to revive him.
I just can't get over it. It's just the greatest thing that has ever happened to me.
Kreisel stopped breathing while shopping at Sears in late September. Strong and Paulus used CPR to save him in the critical 2 minutes they waited for paramedics to arrive at the store.
It felt really good for the first time to see somebody walk away that was dead, and for us to bring him back alive. And now he has time still to share with his family and friends, especially during the holidays.
Neither Strong nor Paulus feels like a hero. They say they were just doing their jobs.
I don't feel like a hero. I feel good for trying to help him. You know, I'm glad he pulled through. I think it's nice that they gave us a plaque, and the plaques are really nice, but it's something that we were trained to do.
Paul Paulus is a Maplewood police officer, and Paul Strong works in the State Fair Police Force. He is waiting word from the St. Paul Police Department whether he'll be hired soon to work for them. Don and Pat?
You know, it's always a reminder, Caroline, that all of us should take these CPR classes so that we know what to do. Was it just a coincidence that he knew?
Well, in both cases, they'd had the training as officers, so they had it. But one of the things that came up at the ceremony is just how critical and important that they had that. And, of course, you know, something we all should have.
Boy, absolutely. Thank you, Caroline.
A civil rights group is calling Milwaukee the South Africa of the United States, based on a study that shows Milwaukee is the most segregated city in the nation. The Milwaukee Urban League says more than 97% of the city's 150,000 blacks live in the inner city, and 60% of black children there live in poverty. City officials say the problems are economic, not racial.
Do you know the capital of Burma? I do, thanks to this handsome Rand McNally new Universal World Atlas. It's filled with up-to-date information on every country, plus a special section on every U.S. state. And at over 50% off, no home should be without it. So, what's the capital of Burma? You'll find it on page 30.
Rand McNally's new Universal World Atlas, published at $45, now only $19.95 at B. Dalton Bookseller.
You can call me Books.
More savings, more selection at your More Floor store, Jerry's Floor Store. Cabin Craft Homestead, the hottest in textured plush, in stock in a variety of colors. Also from Cabin Craft, Caprice and Briarwood, affordable gold label carpets with stain resistance. Save on the inlaid beauty of Armstrong Designer Solarian and Designer Solarian 2. Select patterns in stock with discounts for immediate delivery. Buy now and get installation for the holidays at your More Floor store, Jerry's Floor Store, Spring Lake Park, Burnsville, Minnetonka, and Oakdale.
In business, changes are just a fact of life. For example, you can type something perfectly, and then new information comes in.
Okay, that's perfect, but would you change the opening?
Maybe that's why secretaries prefer Xerox typewriters.
Oh, and add that column.
They make revisions easy. In tests, 8 out of 10 people preferred a Xerox typewriter to other leading models, even an IBM.
And that's it, okay?
No problem.
Xerox, the perfect typewriter for the way business really is.
Plywood, Minnesota's annual fall sale.
And here's our mom, Ellen Boschwitz, housewares and wallpaper buyer for Plywood, Minnesota.
Thanks, Dan. And here's some fun new products. Lovely fall craft dinnerware is 25% off during our fall sale. And Nordic Ware microwave products like the Micro Go Round, just $9.98 with rebate.
Save up to 70% on Plywood, Minnesota's in-stock wallpaper, too.
And Delmar window treatments now up to 60% off.
Plywood, Minnesota's annual fall sale.
The parade of presidential candidates coming to the Twin Cities continues tonight with Republican hopeful Pat Robertson. The former television evangelist will appear at a fundraising dinner at the Radisson Hotel in downtown St. Paul. Over the weekend, 4 top Democratic hopefuls, Jackson, Dukakis, Gephardt, and Simon, were all in the Twin Cities, stumping for the votes here.
Don't know if you were paying attention earlier in this program, David, but Pat has been dubbed an elderly prima gravida.
Well, I was
Prima
for my
gravida.
first
You know what that means?
Well, if there are 2 of you, it'd be prima gravitae.
Would it?
You know. What does it mean?
That's the name that
That's a woman
doctors...
over 30 or 35 and older who's having her first child. Hey, by the way, Caroline Lowe's supposed to have her baby this week.
Anytime.
If you notice.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Well, I don't mean it uncomplimentary, but it's evident.
Well, it's due.
I think. Get me out of this.
All right. What's coming up at 6, sir?
Here's a preview of some of the items coming up in 1/2 hour from now on our 6 p.m. report.
making parents spend more on child care than they do on housing. A bill that would subsidize child care for low and moderate income families will soon be introduced in Congress. I'm Colleen Needles. I'll have details at 6.
And we shall hear from Debbie Ely, who we understand now is en route back from today's plane crash site just south of Madison, Wisconsin. That crash in which 7 people, we have learned now, were killed. That will be a part of our 6 p.m. report tonight. Colleen Needles will report on a bill that's pending, a child care subsidy bill that's pending in Congress that could mean $3 million for child care in the state of Minnesota if it's passed. That's tonight at 6. Here now is Dan Rather.
Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. The plan to delay cost of living adjustments for older Americans on Social Security hit a wall today. Several high-placed sources have told CBS News it's dead. If it stays dead, that spells trouble with a capital T for efforts to convince world markets the United States is serious about cutting its budget deficit. Phil Jones is covering the story. Phil?
Dan, the news from the budget summit is grim. One of the primary participants told CBS News tonight that he hasn't been so blue since the talk started. This source says that it looks like they are not going to be able to reach an agreement, and at one point he indicated